I want to start with something that is literally a little off track. About 5 or 6 years ago, Kate and I, when we got married more than 5 or 6 years ago, but when we got married, we decided we wanted to really do a honeymoon right. So 4 years later, we got a chance to go on our honeymoon. We went to England. We're going to go from England. We rented a car, and I tried driving, which was a little bit of an adventure in itself. But the place where it really got the adventure was where we got from England into Wales. Now Wales, I mean, it's pretty much part of England, except that they're very proud of this language, where the words don't look like anything that you can possibly recognize. You don't know what it is. And so when you got lost there, it was a little hard to get lost, because in order to promote the language, they have all the signs. They have Welsh in big letters, and then the English is down kind of small beneath. And nobody can read it, but they put it up there anyway. And we were there, and we knew we were in trouble when we came to town, Myrtle. I didn't know, I have to tell you, I couldn't remember the name of the town, because we know it's called Myrtle. And I actually went to Google, to search, and typed in Myrtle. And up popped, oh, you must be looking for the name of it. I still don't know how to pronounce it. It looks like Myrtle to me. So you can try this yourself. It's actually Myrtle. So there we are in Myrtle, driving around. It's hilly. It's like, it actually looks a lot like Appalachia. It's not mountains, but it's a lot of hills. There was a coal mining area that's been emptied out. So sometimes things look a little sketchy, but we're driving around. And this was before GPSs. And we had a program, we had a laptop computer with a map of Europe, on it. But it did tell you where you were, which makes it a little bit less useful. So we're driving around, turning, of course we don't know what we're doing. So we're lost. We're just lost. And we knew it was bad when we started driving through like a subdivision. But of course, because of the hills, it wasn't late at all. And Kate says, okay, if you turn right here, you'll be exactly where we'll be, right back where we're supposed to go. And I turn right, and I'm in somebody's driveway. And look, it was a very typical suburban-looking ranch house with a car in front. And we're sitting out there, and we don't know what to do. We have no idea. We're in these people's driveways. And these two kids come out. They're like teenagers. They might have been young adults. They might have been 17 or 20. And they say, what are you doing here? And we explain, we're lost. So you can imagine with the American accent out here and they started to laugh. And they said, well, where are you trying to get to? We said, well, we were in Myrtle, and we're trying to get And they said, oh yeah, They said, yeah, turn. And we said, we can't. They said, come on in. So they opened their home, and they brought us in, and we sat down, and they got a map, and they showed us the route, and they saw the looks on their face, and they actually got there and drove us back to a main highway where we could get our way back to where we were going. They're probably telling this story too, about the day the American tourists showed up in their little house in Myrtle. But it really struck me, it was a moment of hospitality where these strangers showed up on their doorstep and they just took us in. And I think about that because the story we have today about Mary and Martha, there's Myrtle. So we're past that a little bit. So the story that we're telling today is about hospitality. It's about what you do when Jesus shows up on your doorstep. And that might seem like something we don't have to worry about, because we know Jesus isn't going to show up on our doorstep. Except that Jesus has this one thing he says. He says, whatever you do to the least of my brothers and sisters, whatever you do to the members of my family, that's what you're doing to me. Jesus said, in short, whenever someone who needed help appeared in your life, you were meeting him. I like driving this point home because when we think about being like Jesus, we usually think about being the person who's doing all the help. The person who's going to be there, the person who's going to serve, the person who's going to do good deeds, the person who's going to work. And Jesus did that. He talked about the importance of serving. But if you look at the story of Jesus, he spent a lot of his time getting help from other people. You know, he went around with nothing. Didn't carry money, didn't carry food. He just wandered from place to place with his whole entourage. And wherever they landed, people had to help them. I mean, Jesus was constantly depending on other people for the basics of life. And I didn't have to. He had people around who had money. He had friends. He could have, set a budget, established things in a rational order, planned everything out. But part of what he was doing was giving people a chance to help him. It's kind of a tangent, but for those of us who find ourselves needing more help than we used to, it's important to remember that that's part of being Jesus for people. That being able to accept help, giving other people a chance to do good for you, and to feel appreciated and loved. When you do that, when you receive help, you're being Jesus for them. That's not easy, but being like Jesus never is. And so, in receiving help as well as giving help, we have that moment of coming closer to Jesus. But specifically today, with Mary and Martha, they come in and there's Jesus. And I love this picture of Martha. She's all frowny and unhappy. This kind of captures the way they usually talk about Mary and Martha. There's Mary with Jesus, and there's Martha, cutting fish and messing, and she's too upset to realize what's going on. There's some truth to that. One way of looking at this story is to say, you can come in and you can make someone dinner, you can give them a place to sleep, you can take care of all their needs, and yet never enter into a relationship with them. You can do all the work on the outside without doing any of the work on the inside. I've never been at somebody's house where a fight breaks out among the family that's hosting you. Or if you've ever been in a family that breaks into a fight in the middle of a party or something when you have people over. It's about the most awkward thing that can happen. Not that I would know. It is difficult to be hospitable if the heart of your heart isn't ready to be open. And so one level of reading the story, you can look at Mary and Martha, and there's Mary doing all the outside work, but she hasn't actually taken the time to sit down and talk with Jesus. That's kind of grumpy Martha in this whole painting. But Martha takes a lot of heat, and of course, I read a lot of commentaries on this passage, and they said, most of us are more like Martha than Mary when you get down to it. And all those people who do work you might be reading this passage, hey, wait a minute, don't pick on me, don't pick on the people who work in the kitchen, don't pick on the people who make the sound system go, don't pick on the people who tear out ceiling tiles. That stuff is important. And so, when you come to that, the thought was, Martha comes here and she's all upset because she can't get any help. And she's just ready to quit. And one person said, what if Martha just did quit? What would happen then?